The first question comes from Arnab K. from Toronto, and he has a question regarding the concept of the self in all beings and all beings in the self that you discussed recently in your talk on Ashtavakra Gita. He says, I understand how all beings are in the self, that this entire universe, including all beings, is just an appearance in the self. I also get how the self is in all beings from the perspective of Sat. However, I struggle to understand how the self is in all beings from a Chit perspective. I don't understand how there is one consciousness shining in and through all these body minds. To draw parallels from the dream example, in a dream it feels like all the other people have consciousness in them. But after waking, I realize that there was no consciousness shining in any of them. There was only one person in that dream where consciousness was shining. How do I know that the waking world is not like that? How do I know that Chit is shining in all beings? And if I can't know that for sure, how can I rule out a theory like Eka Jiva Vada?
All right, big question. And it was very sophisticated, lots and lots of philosophy went into that. But I'll just latch on to one thing there and listen carefully. This is the answer to the question, the direct answer. But then we will dilate a little more afterwards. But here's the direct answer. In the example which was just quoted, the dream example, which is very helpful for understanding Advaita Vedanta. The person who's asking said that in the dream example, it seems I see many people and they all seem to have consciousness. But when I wake up, I see that there was only one person there with consciousness. That is, he means I, the dreamer. I was there in the dream. I was conscious. But all those other people just appeared in my dream. They were not actually persons with consciousness. He said that. There's only one person. Did he not say that? That line is there. There's only one person. But here, there isn't. There is no one person in that dream. You feel that because you wake up and you realize, oh, I was dreaming. But even when the dream was going on and you felt that you were there in that one person, was that really a person? No, because there was no body there. It was a figment of your imagination. It was a dream. And there were bits and pieces of thoughts excavated from your waking mind floating around as the impressions which generated that world of dreams and that so-called person who was experiencing that dream, in the dream. Actually, what was there in a dream was the dreamer's mind. You, the dreamer, lying on the bed and dreaming, in your mind all this was going on. Just as you imagined the world there, the objective world in the dream, the subject in the dream was also dreamt up. So you, the person, the dreamer, you were not actually there as that person in the dream. It's not that there was one person in the dream with consciousness and nobody else was with consciousness. See, that's what happens when you wake up and you mix up the waking and the dreaming a little bit. Right? And that's helpful for understanding Advaita Vedanta. That's what's going on here. There is one consciousness, the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, which Patrick was chanting, one limitless consciousness. That alone appears as nature and as the soul. Swami Vivekananda's language, as Prakriti and Purusha. That alone appears as subject and object. In that one consciousness, the objective world appears, and in that one consciousness, the subject who experiences this objective world appears. And you feel, I am the subject, and here is the world. But actually underlying both is one limitless consciousness. So that's the example helps, the dream example. If you correct this a little bit, you will get an answer to your question. But let's go. The question itself is pretty deep. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani. This is the line he was quoting. Not only in Ashtavakra, it's found in the Upanishads, it's found in the Bhagavad Gita. All beings in the self and the self in all beings. And he says, I can sort of understand how all beings are in the self. You know, you can think of the self as limitless existence. And obviously, all beings are in limitless existence. Why? Why would you say obviously? Do all beings exist? Obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't even speak of them. There, man is, woman is, chair is, plant is, dog is, sky is. All living and non-living beings, you see, is existence. So think of this isness as a limitless ocean of existence, in which all beings are like waves. Ashtavakra sings, Mai ananta mahambodau ashcharyam jiva vichaya. I am a limitless ocean of existence. I means all of us can claim that. There's a limitless ocean of existence. And in that, how strange, how wonderful are the sentient beings who come up as waves. What do they do once they have come up? Udyanti, gnanti, khelanti, pravishanti swabhavata. They come up, they are born. And what do? Khelanti, play. Gnanti, fight. Then, pravishanti, they disappear, they die. I remember this verse particularly because I have a very clear memory of being in Gangotri with a radical non-dualist Swami studying Ashtavakra Gita, and he's teaching this in Hindi at that time. But I remember how he was teaching it, it's so vivid. This is the Ganga Bhagirathi rushing by several hundred feet below, this towering, the real giants there. They have, 15, 20,000 feet all around and the valley where we are sitting, that's a valley, but the valley itself is 10,000 feet in the Himalayas. And that stunning, spectacular scenery. The Swami was explaining this verse, I remember, and he says, the way he explained it, Udyanti, they're born, Khelanti, and I still remember, he was a jolly old Swami in his 80s, and hugely obese, more of that little later, hugely obese, and he was saying, they're born, Udyanti, Khelanti. He's saying, I love you, Gnanti, I'm going to divorce you. They fight. Ukraine war nowadays, you see, they fight. And then what is the result of all of that? Pravishanti, they disappear back into the source, they die. But why? Why are they born? Why do they love and play? Why do they fight and hate each other? And why do they die again? Swabhavata. By their very nature. What is that very nature? The causality. Cause and effect. The karma. Past karma is upon them that produces these bodies and drives these sentient beings through a certain course of life. There are the causes. You really can't blame anybody. They are all propelled by a certain set of causes behind them. Notice how each one of us, no matter what we are, how awful we are in the eyes of others, we feel pretty self-justified. Because of these reasons I am doing this. The other person is doing that as a very awful person. Why are they doing it? But you are doing the exactly same thing. But there's a reason for why I am doing it. But the other person also feels they have reason. And they are right and you are right also. There are reasons. And those reasons are causality. The whole of Advaita Vedanta wants to say that this causality is a dream. It's an appearance. Underlying it is one infinite, limitless ocean of existence. Well, good for the ocean of existence, but I am in trouble. No, you are that ocean of existence. Now, about Eka Jiva Vada, which he raised. Before I forget, the obesity of the Swami. The Swami is passed now. He passed away a few years ago. He was the most amazing teacher. And very funny too. So he was sick, obviously, being so overweight, and the doctor came to see him. And the doctor said, I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate into English. आप क्या खाते हैं स्वामी जी इतने मोटे हो गए हैं? What do you eat, Swami? You've become so fat, so overweight. And the doctor was thin and sickly. So the Swami said, he chuckled and he said in Hindi that हम चिंता को चबा जाते हैं, इसीलिए मोटापन है, और चिंता तुम्हें चबा जाती है डॉक्टर बाबू. So चिंता is anxiety, tension, stress. So I eat it up, I gobble it up, and because of all that junk food I have become. But I chew it up. I gobble up stress and fear and anxiety. And stress and fear and anxiety, they gobble you up, doctor. You're being burned out by your worries and stress. You see, he was like that. All right, back to philosophy. Eka Jiva Vada. The view that there is only one person. Now, straight off, those who are trained in philosophy will say, aha, solipsism. Solipsism means the feeling, the idea that only I exist. Why would that come? What a crazy idea. Well, it would come because actually of our dream experiences where we see a lot of people, but when we wake up, I feel I was the only one there. Everybody else was in my dream. How do we know that this is not so in the waking also? And especially when we study Advaita Vedanta, the margins, the boundaries between dream and waking become blurred. On purpose, they are blurred. And so we might feel, in this world also it's like a dream. Vedanta keeps telling me it's like a dream, an illusion. So I am the only one there. And all these other people, there's no audience. I'm just fooling myself with Ask Swami. So it's I alone who am asking the questions and I alone trying to answer the questions. So I might be the only one here. Eka Jiva. And yet I am not enlightened. So I am not the absolute reality Brahman. I am a sentient being. How many sentient beings, how many jivas are there? One. Although I can see 100, I say there's only one. Who? I. Now this is actually a school of thought in Advaita Vedanta. And what would be the goal of this thing? That I am there and still I don't feel enlightened and I'm still suffering and I still feel that others might be part of a dream that I'm dreaming. So I have to wake up from the dream and realize that Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. From that perspective, no more problems. So that single individual being, sentient being, has to break out of that one being's dream and awaken to reality, which is infinite existence. So that is a school of thought. It's a sub-school. And there's a good reason why it's a sub-school. Because if you look at the mainstream non-duality, Advaita Vedanta, Shankar Upanishads, Gita, they don't speak in that way. They speak exactly the way we speak. There is a world, there are people, and we are one of many, and we are all trying to become enlightened. Good. This is how we feel more or less about the world. And this is how the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, they talk, all the texts of Vedanta, most of them, not all, but most of them talk in this way. So what's going on here? What's going on is, none of them are right. Bahujiva Vada, many sentient beings. Eka Jiva Vada, one sentient being. None of them are supposed to be descriptions of truth. What is the truth then? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. Advaitins will say, how many times do I have to tell you? There's only one reality. One existence, consciousness, bliss. Then what about all this? Many living beings, one living being, many sentient beings, one sentient being. It's because we see the world in that way. And we have to be helped out of it. If Advaita Vedanta is right, then there's one ultimate reality and this is a relative reality. Then in this relative reality, Vedanta has to begin here. Any good teacher has to start where the student is and then take the student to what is, from the near to the far, from what is to what shall be, from the known to the unknown. That's a principle of good teaching. You think there is a world? Of course, good, there is a world. That's what Vedanta says. Doesn't mean it at all. Let's say there's a world, granting you that. You think there are lots of other people? Yes, at least the teacher and at least two of us are there. Good, let's start there. So that's how most Vedanta operates. But there's this school which does not operate that way. So these are ways of becoming enlightened. Who can take which way? So it's very clear among the monks in the Himalayas that it depends on vairagya, dispassion, detachment from the world. If you are a completely detached monk, there's no two ways of putting it. You have to be a monk completely detached from the world, not even like me sitting in Manhattan in an ashram. You have to be completely detached from the world. Then that kind of paradigm, it's a paradigm, that there is only one sentient being in this universe and it's you. That will work. Won't it lead to narcissism and all? But it won't, because you're not supposed to stop there. You're supposed to begin there and go into the impersonal absolute. Why at all then these views have come up? Because there is a logical force behind these views. That's why this person has come up with this question. Because think deeply about Advaita, and especially the difference between waking and dreaming is not sharp, then you will come to this feeling that maybe I'm the only one here. But that's just the beginning point. And it will work for you if you are detached, if you are monastic, if you have strong renunciation, no connections with the world. Is it possible to have such a life? Yes, it's possible in the mountains. I have experienced it myself. You could easily, I remember I was just there for a few months each time. And I remember the world seems to melt away and disappear there in those Himalayan fastness, in the heights there. It just fades away into a mist, a distant mist. So it's possible. But if you try to do it in an inappropriate setting like this, you have a job, you have a family, you're in a network of relationships. If you try to do this here, it'll become dysfunctional. And it'll lead to so much trouble, your spiritual life will be wrecked. Your worldly life also will be in trouble, and your spiritual life will be wrecked. It's not meant to be used in that way. And remember, there's no need. People think it's cool, Ekajiva Vada. They feel it's more sophisticated than the non-dualism which is taught. What the Swami normally says, this is more sophisticated than that. Don't do it, because you will not get a better Brahman, a better ultimate reality by following Ekajiva Vada. Brahman plus, Brahman advanced, Brahman for the really, really cool non-dualists. No, you will come to the same reality.